let's start. Let's start with CP Gurnani, who's the Chief Executive Officer and the Managing Director of Tech Mahindra, who's in candid conversation with Anant Maheshwari, the President of Microsoft India. He's basically been leading Tech Mahindra to become not only a leading global IT solutions and consulting companies, but also one of the most sustainable global IT corporations. Join the session as he shares his thoughts on the SaaSification of IP, how he decodes the next now approach, and also talks about the launch of Tech Mahindra's Metaverse platform, TechMVerse, and much more.
It is my pleasure to welcome today a pioneer, entrepreneur, and lifelong learner. Widely regarded as an entrepreneurial leader, he has led Tech Mahindra to become a leading global IT solutions and consulting company. Known for his critical steering of one of the biggest turnarounds of Indian corporate history, he continues to drive his team from strength to strength with his people-centric approach. Tech Mahindra today is also one of the most sustainable global IT companies. CEO and Managing Director of Tech Mahindra, CP Gurnani. Welcome to Future Ready Industry Week, CP.
Thank you, Anant. Thank you. And again, congratulations on taking over as the Vice Chairman of NASSCOM. We are very, very proud of you, Anant.
Thank you so much, CP, for all your support and guidance. So with this, I think as this industry week is about the IT industry, let me get started with the first question. We have learned to live with uncertainty and disruption, and the IT industry is on the front lines of the global economy as you deploy technology, not only for your end customers, but also internally to change the future of work. So how has TechM used technology to empower more than 144,000 people with hybrid work and cybersecurity, but also empower your end customers through your offerings as part of the Next Now initiative?
I guess sometimes, the velocity or the speed of the engine literally creates opportunities. And I would say that most of us always had the solution. Microsoft Teams was a product. Skype, the company that you bought, was a product. LinkedIn, again a company that you brought, was always a product. To me, all these three moving parts were waiting for an event to stitch. And what really happened during the pandemic was all of us had to go virtual. We didn't have a choice. Now, if you have to go virtual and you don't have a choice, then the rate of adoption had to increase. So I am grateful that Microsoft, as a technology leader, as a leading infrastructure player, was able to bring in the various pieces of technology into their product development. The fact is, Microsoft Teams 2 years ago and today is a huge difference. And the reason is that your rate of change has kept pace with the demands of Indian IT industry or the IT industry globally or the consumer globally. And I, again, would like to re-emphasize that it's your agility and it's customers' agility that we just adopted. And the results are here to see. Average Indian IT industry has grown by about 13 to 14%. And world over, the consumption of technology has grown by about 7 to 8%, even despite of the pandemic. So I guess the future of work is here. And now becomes more real because the now is here and next you can see for yourself.
No, that's amazing. And thank you for simplifying that, CP, because that's amazing to hear just the trend line of where it is and how Next.Now is also driving this. Now, Indian IT industry, if I go back to history, has really been strong around the services aspect. But it's of late, there's been a very big trend on the SaaSification of the intellectual property, truly bringing data, AI, application modernization on the cloud to drive differentiation and also cost advantage. So how has Tech Mahindra progressed on this IP SaaSification journey?
So first is, I always remind myself that when my, you know, client partners or my associates, when they come back and start saying that Boeing is my customer, or I'm not naming a client out here. It is more to say that an airline manufacturer is my client or an airline is my client. They usually will always come and say it's like a the person, an OEM is my client or a airline is my client. And I said, no, remember that your client's client is really your client. Now, the moment you start taking that into account, then the second thing we all realize is in an economy where in these 2 years the app economy grew because an individual, which is again the end customer, it doesn't matter whether you are an airline or you are a car manufacturer or you are a software producer, the end customer's consumption started becoming more convenience. Open an app, place an order, you get your commerce. You may say that I gave the content. You may say I created the creativity out here. So I think the user is already dictating what he or she wants. Tech Mahindra as a system integrator or a technology powerhouse had to put all the pieces together to make sure that the client A understands that it is all about processes, it is all about technology, but more important, it is about the business model. Now, today we may call it a SaaS. Same breath, we saw the data centers moving into cloud. And it is in the same breath, we started saying AI is equal to output of 50 people. And I always used to say extraordinary guy is equivalent to the 50 AI engines. So I think SaaS is here to stay purely because it is convenience, purely because it is utility as a service, and it is designed for the individual customer. And I'm grateful that the technology consumption is reaching that stage.
What a simplification, CP, to really see not just as B2B, but B2B2C as the business model, and keeping that consumer at the center and remaining customer obsessed. In the last couple of years, cybersecurity has become very, very important, and especially for that consumer and also for the business that you're serving. Tech Mahindra already has lots of domain skills on cybersecurity and compliance. And how are you really combining that with the power of the Microsoft Cloud in shaping boardroom conversations on cybersecurity?
It's very interesting that, Anant, you bring such a hot topic with a smile. So I can only tell you is that these 2 years, I can only tell you is that it doesn't matter whether I'm talking to an executive or a board member. Compliances, data regulation, and the role of cybersecurity has literally become center stage. Now, this is almost like, trying to understand the consequence, because the day you have a physical war happening in the Eastern Europe, you also know that the bigger threat is a cyber war. Similarly, when you start looking at all these, data regulation acts, you also start realizing is each one of us has now started giving importance to this asset. Suddenly, data has become a national asset. And same conversation in the boardroom is not always about the asset. It doesn't matter whether you're a bank or you're a utility. It is also trying to make sure that you're compliant. So two different parts. One is ensuring and insuring yourself. And the second part is making sure that your business does not go down because you were not compliant. So, thank you for Sentinel. Thank you for helping me protect Tech Mahindra internally. I mean, you guys are the product suite that we have used internally. And I promise you, at every boardroom, I do make a point to let them know every time there is a breach, McKinsey has told me it will cost them $4 million. And this is a very small premium they have to pay.
No, it's amazing. And I always really admire your play of the words. So ensuring and insuring everyone, it's such an easy way to talk through it. Let me shift to the other side of the buzzwords that all of us talk about these days, and the metaverse is something that everybody is talking about. Huge congratulations on the launch of Tech Mahindra's metaverse platform, the TechMVerse. So partnering with Microsoft, how do you foresee the impact that we can drive across together for all the industries?
I think the partnership is just about begun. I know you've been busy. I mean, you just a few months ago you spent your pocket money to buy that $70 billion dollar gaming company to create or show your commitment to Metaverse. For us at Tech Mahindra, the first question is that I ask my consultants is that what problem are we trying to solve? The easiest answers we all know is gamification, education, or a remote working, or individuals need to have an avatar. But I think the bigger uh, gratification to me is my employees coming back and saying it helps in productivity and efficiency. It helps in creating a new business. So, for example, a retail customer that we both of us are working for, they said their biggest problem is online that their returns are as high as 30%. Now, if I can metify and bring that customer to the TechMVerse and they are able to visualize, participate, and take into account what the retail customer is trying to position and sell, I think that return percentage, in my opinion, will reduce minimum by 50%. That means only 15%. And as we become more intelligent in understanding our user needs and we are able to bring them to Metaverse, it can even come down to 5%. Healthcare. We all have, during this pandemic, understood the health next door now. But think about it, that in the meta world, we are not only solving that issue, but we are able to personalize it. We are able to use not only the compute power, but also the imaginative powers of solving a problem. So I am very, very excited, and I do believe it is not about gaming. And incidentally, the third thing you will hear very soon is Tech Mahindra did announce a global chess league, but I am going to be the first one to launch a chess league in the meta world. So TechMVerse and Global Chess League will be also part of our joint offerings.
That is so amazing to hear. And again, thinking of metaverse not in just the entertainment or gaming context, but really about changing the way profit and loss statements work, and how it translates into higher profitability, both on the revenue side as well as on the cost side. Amazing view of what it will do to work. Now, there is a challenge that all of us face on the planet, which is sustainability. You have been very vocal about it. There's a very high consciousness around sustainability. So while businesses have survived these very unprecedented times, How are you ensuring that the principles of sustainability are in play while driving digital transformation at TechM?
This is surprising. It's an initiative which I did not start. It was started by a group of employees who basically came back and told us what the cost in carbon equivalent is for the every bulb. What is the cost in carbon equivalent is by not carpooling. What is the cost when you do not print your paper both sides, and why print it at all? So when the consciousness started by saying cloth bag versus a plastic bag, a glass bottle versus a plastic bottle, I think my job became very, very easy, because my employee not only felt empowered, but they wanted to be engaged. And when they want to be engaged, I promise you, it is almost like, in business, you say you create a war room because you want to create a war effect so that people engage. And here, it was not us creating a war room, it was an employees creating a war room. The second part, I think, where both of us need to spend even more time, bring in that technology of whether it is AI, predictive modeling, the cyber security, or the blockchain, or the Web3, or the MetaFi, to create platform, because most users actually do not know. There's no uniform method to know what carbon neutral really means. Each one of us is trying to cope up with it and what carbon trading means. So to me, it's a business opportunity on one end to become a bank and start storing carbon credits and selling carbon credits. On the other end is probably become another mini bank where I go and actually pay for replacing an incandescent bulb with an LED bulb and actually benefit by the carbon credits. And number three is, if you are an institution and an organization, help you at least input the data so that you know where you are going and why you are going. So huge opportunity for Tech Mahindra. As I said, winning the awards or being recognized was very easy because it was a movement of the employee. It was individual responsibility which became collective responsibility.
Now, thank you so much for that, CP. And I totally agree that if it's really a shared understanding amongst the entire organization, it can really become a movement. Now that I have you here, let me end with the final question. And I'd like you to do a little bit of crystal ball gazing and really say, look at the Indian IT industry. What is the one thing that can disrupt the Indian IT industry, and or what is the one thing that can really supercharge it to become an even bigger global powerhouse?
Anant, great question, but let me again go back with the Microsoft world. When you introduced MS-DOS, it was almost like, you had to read that thick manual all the time because you had so many bugs, right? And I didn't have a pillow, but I did have a manual. It was that thick, right? Now, that was like 40 years ago. Now, coming forward, I don't remember if I ever even called anyone regarding the operating system, right? So clearly it shows is that the evolution of technology at some stage starts stabilizing. So a lot of work that has gone into fixing those will evaporate. The way it evaporated from the first MS-DOS to now whatever system 10 it is, right? So I think that is what is going to happen tomorrow. It's the same way that there used to be every third shop on the corner streets, TV repair technician. Now, where do you go? You don't go to a TV repair technician anymore. So I think that's the first job which will become extinct over a period of time. But if you are a business which is in the mode of providing those fixes, then you need to start saying where the evolution will lead to. And that evolution means is you are now anticipating how to improve that process. And it's the same way a rental DVD company now becomes the largest content producer in the world. Same way, Microsoft has evolved into so many new businesses. I mean, so I think technology is here to stay. The question is, will we anticipate and be ready for the quantum computing? Will we be ready for the next generation of Metaverse? Will we be ready to stop using the word digital transformation and start using a word called business transformation? Because digital gets buried when everything starts becoming a standard. Same way, you don't need a TV technician, but you still need a business. The TV still needs the content. It still requires those 500 channels so that you can engage with it. I think we just need to anticipate that part. And the easiest way to do it is get faster into business transformation, faster into SaaS, faster into Metaverse, faster into customer experience management, faster into employee experience management.
It's amazing, CP. I've always marveled you with the way you can simplify the complex, bring real world context even into a $200 billion Indian IT industry. It's just amazing. I'm sure a lot of folks will take away a lot of lessons and inspiration from this conversation. Thank you so much for doing this. It's been fascinating to have this conversation. Thanks a lot, CP.
Thank you, Anant. Thank you. Thank you so much.